StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves all of us to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is where time gets wasted and how do we plug this gap? How do we actually fix this? Now, before we get into this, I'm going to remind everybody I send out a text message every morning called the Daily Motivation that is guaranteed, yes, guaranteed, to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. All you have to do to receive this text, text me at my number, which is 305-384-6894. And every day when that message comes out, you as a member of my text community shall be receiving that message free of charge. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That's a place where I do all my coaching. That's the place where you get access to all of my courses. That's a place you get access to all of my best trainings on things like your mentality, like my bulletproof mindset training on discipline, my 30 days of discipline framework, the entire Work on Your Game system. There's a whole system to work on your game. It's not just a phrase that sounds good, even though it does sound good. There's a lot more to that. You get access to all of that as a member of Work on Your Game University, which you can join by going to WorkOnYourGame.University.com. That link is down below in the description to this video. But all that said, let's get into the topic, where time gets wasted and how to fix it. Because time is of the essence here, right? Now, we talk about time a lot here at Work on Your Game. And as a matter of fact, I was just mentioning Work on Your Game University. In the university, we have a training course called 25 Hours. There's a 25 hours course in there. And also inside the Work on Your Game system, also in the Business Builder framework, also in Bulletproof Mindset, ASAP Confidence, 30 Days of Discipline, and all of those, there are areas of those frameworks and trainings where we discuss time and how time gets used, because time is of the essence, is the most important and most valuable resource that we have. When you run out of time, then the entire game ends. And we talk about time because time is literally life. You run out of any other resource, you can get more of it. You run out of money, you can make more money. You run out of time, you cannot create more time. So no matter how well, how poorly you have been playing the game, you run out of time, the game's over. So today we're going to identify where your time gets wasted. In other words, it is being used in ways that are unproductive and ineffective. So you can, once you identify what these areas are, I'm going to help you identify them. You can start adding by subtracting. So you're going to make your life better by eliminating the actions and habits that are wasting your time. So you can stop doing the behaviors that are allowing your time to be wasted. And this will be especially important for those of you who are business owners where you are not paid by the hour. You're not paid for how much time you put in. You're only paid by the results that you produce. You're paid based on the value that you're able to generate on a consistent basis. Therefore, the more time you can spend creating value and not wasting time, the better off you will be. So it's very important that you as an entrepreneur, those of you who make your own schedules, that you are making sure you're being not only just productive, but also effective with the time that you use. So the more time you spend doing things that actually serve you and move the needle, the better off you'll be. So let's get into it. Point number one. Today's topic, once again, is where time gets wasted and how to fix it. Number one, doing physical chores. What do I mean when I say physical chores? And when I say you're wasting time here, what I mean is you are doing things that not necessarily that they don't need to be done at all. It's just that you don't need to be doing them. And you don't need to be spending as much time on them as you are. So I mean, literally, when I say physical chores, I mean you literally doing things around your office or around your home that you do not necessarily need to be doing. Key phrase, you. You don't need to be doing them. Not that they don't need to be done, but doesn't need to be done by you. See, it's not that these things don't need to be done at all. It's just that you don't need to be doing them yourself. So things like cleaning the house, changing the oil in your car, washing the windows, cutting the grass, folding clothes. I'm not saying that you need to pass off and delegate all of these tasks, but I wouldn't be mad at you if you did. All right. Again, you can delegate these tasks so that you have more time to do things that are more important to moving the needle in your life. And by moving the needle, I mean by doing the things that actually will help you move forward and do the things that create the most substance in your life, create the most substance for yourself and for your loved ones and the people around you. So maybe some of these things that I've mentioned, these are things you actually love to do. And these are enjoyable and relaxing activities for you. I'm completely fine with that if that's the case. It's probably not all of them, but maybe you just love cutting the grass because during that time that you cut the grass, you get to listen to your favorite podcasts, or you listen to audiobooks, or you listen to your favorite music by your favorite band, and that's your time to enjoy. And you know, every Saturday you're going to get to cut the grass and you get to have that enjoyable activity. Maybe that's the situation for you. If that's the case, then keep cutting the grass. Now, for everything else that I mentioned, like washing the dishes and doing laundry and mopping the floor, you don't have that same enjoyment, then those tasks, you can at least delegate them, and you can keep maybe that one that you absolutely feel like you have to do all the time. So it shouldn't be every single thing that you do that you just absolutely love doing this thing just because, because you love doing it, which is not the case. Again, you might have one of these that fits that description. It may be none of these that fits that description. And if it's none of them, then you need to get all of these tasks off of your hands so that you will have more resources, specifically time, attention, focus, energy, that you can put towards moving the needle in your life. And moving the needle might be spending more time with your family. Moving the needle might be you actually getting some time in at work, in business, whatever it is, it ain't cutting the grass and mopping the floors. I remember I had a client of mine who I was coaching years back in the university, in WorkOnYourGame University, and he had a creative design business is what they did. I forget the exact term that they used, but he was a creative designer, and his company would do creative designs like graphic art and things like that, web design and pamphlet design and things like that for big companies. And this guy himself was a creative designer. He knew he could create things. You could give him an idea, give him a brief, and he could basically put a beautiful work together. And they had a team, they had an office, and this guy was based up in New York City. And I remember meeting with him and his wife once down here in Miami Beach. We're in South Beach. And he was just telling me how he was so swamped with work because he had so many things going on. And I asked him, I said, okay, well, if you took everything that you did at work and you could only do one of those things, you had to eliminate everything else, what would you do? He said, well, Dre, I love doing everything. I love doing the paperwork. I love doing the payroll. I love doing responding to email. I love doing the designs. I love doing the check of the work before it goes out to the client. I love doing all of this stuff. So I would do all of it, Dre. And I said, oh, yeah. I said, okay. So if we were to reduce everything you did, let's say you absolutely had to fire yourself from every other job and you only had to do one job of everything you're doing in business, what would it be? I basically restated the question. If you only do one job, what would it be? He said, oh, well, I would absolutely do the creative control. I would do the creative directing of the business because that was his main thing. And I said, okay, so understanding this, you know that you don't love doing creative. Your love for creative directing is not equal to your love of doing payroll, right? And both he and his wife, they laughed at how ridiculous the question sounded when I said it. Like once I spit it back to him, what he had just said to me, it sounded ridiculous. And this is what many of you need to do or have done to you, is to understand that the things that you're doing, you're putting a whole lot of effort and time into doing stuff that simply does not matter that much for, again, moving things forward in your life and your business. Again, not to say that these things shouldn't be done at all, but do you need to be the one doing them? That's the question that you need to be asking yourself on a consistent basis, keeping in mind that your time is limited. Okay, remember that your time is limited. Which of your household chores could you start passing off to someone other than yourself, even if you don't know who the someone is right now? All right, somebody has to cut the grass every week. I get it. The grass needs to be cut. All right, the homeowners association demands that your grass be cut at least once a week. I get it. All right, can you hire somebody to cut the grass? You don't know who to hire to cut the grass? That's completely fine. Who does your neighbor have cut their grass? All right, when you see the truck come in the neighborhood to come cut the grass of a couple of people who live in your neighborhood, why don't you go stop by and ask the neighbor, go knock on the neighbor's door and say, hey, who cuts your grass? Or go talk to the grass cutting person, the landscaping guy, and say, hey, give me your number or your business card so I can have you come cut my grass. All right? It's very easy to find these individuals. Whatever you're trying to find, for the most part, you can go on the internet and you can find, at least get a lead. You at least get pointed in the right direction of where you need to go, even if you can't find the exact person that you're looking for most situations in life. All right, even if you don't know who the person is now, you can at least get going in the right direction. And you need to start first asking and then answering this question, because this will start to free up your time and your energy so you can do the more important things that create a higher return on investment for your effort and for your time. This is very important. The good news about passing on physical chores to other people is that you can easily watch what they're doing and you can coach them on how you want them to do it. And they can do it the way that you want it done. So you're not just blindly leaving the job to another person. And as you do this, you will get more comfortable delegating work. And then you can delegate bigger and even more important things to other people other than yourself. So you can continue to focus on fewer things, but the most essential things. This is something that all of us need to learn how to do. Even if you're doing things that are, even digital work is the same thing. I've hired plenty of assistants. As a matter of fact, I just put a job posting up for an assistant that I'm hiring right now to do some work for me. And I know how to delegate jobs. I'm comfortable delegating work. And a simple way to delegate is you explain to someone what it is that you want done. You can even do a demonstration of what you want done and then have them do it. You can watch them do it and you can talk them through what adjustments they need to be made, what adjustments need to be made, or maybe you can talk them through any clarification for anything, any holes that you left, any gaps that you left in your instruction of what it is that you're doing or what it is that you're having them do. So you can get good at delegating over time, but you have to start by having a mind to delegate. There's an important note about passing off physical chores, things that people are physically doing. When you delegate work to other people, you need to be okay. This is a mental point. Be okay with them doing it 80 to 90% as well as you would have done it. 80% to 90% as well as you would have done it. So let's just put that at 85%. Is having somebody else cut the grass 85% as well as you would have done it worth you saving the time every Sunday? So if you could save the 90 minutes that you would have took to cut the grass, and in exchange for that 90 minutes, you lose 15% of the perfection of your grass cutting, but it's still done at 85% the level, but you save 90 minutes of time and you bought yourself some time, is it worth it? So here at home, for example, I've been telling Anna for years because she loves to keep the floors clean. She's big on floor cleaning. She's a floor cleaning Nazi for whatever reason. I don't know why, but this is her thing. She wants the floors to be clean. So every week, at least, usually multiple times per week if she could, she wants to clean the floors. And I've been telling her for years, like literally years, get somebody else to clean the floors. All right, we can hire a cleaner. All right, we live in these high-rise condominiums. There are people whose very business is to go around to these buildings, find people who need their houses cleaned, but don't want to do it themselves and are available for hire to clean houses. There's a whole industry for this. It's not like we're looking for some needle in a haystack. These people are easily findable. And being that it's cleaning the floors, you can just find a person and just teach them how to do it. Even if they never thought of being a floor cleaner, you find somebody who wants a job, you can teach them how to clean the damn floors. All right, we can teach someone how to do this. You don't have to do this yourself. But she always insisted, well, if I hire somebody, they're not going to do it right. I want to make sure it's done the right way, this, that, and the third. And for years, she continued to clean the floors on her own. I never once cleaned the floors. I said, I'm not doing it. So if you insist on doing it yourself, go ahead and do it. I'm not going to keep trying to tell you to clean the floors. Now we have a child. And now with the child, there's a lot more responsibility on her as far as feeding the kid, taking care of the kid. There's less time availability for her. And physically, she has less energy. So now, finally, after all this time, we finally have somebody who cleans the floors. And I remember the first time this woman cleaned the floors, and she does other things for us, but she cleaned the floors as well. She cleaned the floors the first time, and I asked Anna after the woman left how she do. Said she did pretty good. She did exactly what I asked her to do. She did it and then she said to me, and this is without me even bringing this number up, Anna said to me, well, no, she did it about 80% as well as I would have done it. Is that okay? And I immediately said, yes, that's 100% okay. 80% is perfectly good. All right, this is when good enough is good enough, folks. All right, and all of us, we all need to understand, especially entrepreneurs. You need to know when good enough is good enough. I discussed this in episode 2177. You must know what your good enough spot is. Because if you don't know where your good enough spot is, you're going to be chasing perfection in areas in which perfection does not matter. You do not need to chase perfection. Remember the 80-20 rule. 80% of your results come from about 20% of your input. So understand, when you give that 20% input and you get the 80% of done, you get 80% of perfection. Whatever perfection is 100, you get about 80% of that. Understand that in order for you to get that last 20% from 80 to 100, you have to give another 80% of input in order to get it. So is it worth it and is it necessary? Those are the two questions you have to ask yourself. Is it necessary for you to get that last 20% or are you okay with 80%? Are you okay with someone doing something that's 80% as well as you? Most of the things that you do, again, there's another version of 80. There's a derivative of the 80-20 rule inside of the 80-20 rule. 80% of the things that you do are perfectly okay being done 80% as well as you would have done them as you delegated to somebody else. Everybody catch what I said there? 80% of the things that you do in your business, it is completely okay if you delegate it to someone else and they do it 80% as well as you. You don't need them to be done 100% as well as you did them because it doesn't matter. Now, 20% of the things that you do, they need to be done at a certain level. They need to be done at that maybe 95 to 100% level. Those 20% things, those are your jobs. Those are the things that you do. Everything else, you pass it off to somebody else. Did everybody catch that? This is a very important point right here. If you can accept this and you can start employing this, this will save you a ton of time and you can start delegating and start actually conducting your life as a boss and a leader instead of being employee to yourself. Because right now, many of you are employees to yourself because you are forcing yourself to do stuff that you simply don't need to be doing because you insist on things being done a certain way and being done by you when they really don't need to be. And they also doesn't even matter that you are so great at cutting the grass or cleaning the floors, as in this example that I'm giving you right here. So have someone else do these jobs, and if they do it 85% as well as you, that's completely fine. That is good enough, okay? And it will continue to be good enough. Moving on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is where time gets wasted, and this is used, and when I say wasted in this context, that means being used ineffectively, inefficiently, and how to fix it. Number 2, finding and preparing food. And yes, this is a point that I'm making because we all eat. All right, all of us eat stuff. We all have some chores that we do every day, and we all eat. Every single person in here in the last 24 hours has probably eaten something, unless there was some kind of emergency reason that you did not eat. But most of us eat every day. So finding and preparing food takes up a significant amount of time because we absolutely eat every single day. And what you do in order to get the food into your stomach matters because it takes time. Meal preparation, meal delivery services. These are ubiquitous these days, especially for you entrepreneurs who make your own schedules, and your value, the money that you make, your income is based on how much value you're able to create in the time that is available to you. Any time that you spend that is supposed to be work time, anytime you spend not doing work is costing you. It's costing you an opportunity. The opportunity cost is you are losing the opportunity to go out there and do things that create value. Does everybody agree with that? And this is the reason why I'm bringing up meal preparation, meal delivery services. These are ubiquitous these days. None of you should be cooking and standing in front of a stove cooking food if you get to make your own schedule and you need to be creating value during the time that you're supposed to be working. In big cities like Miami, for example, there are meal prep services that will bring the meals literally to your doorstep. Fresh food multiple times per week. All you had to do is heat it up and that's it. Even if you live in a smaller town, and I know a lot of you live in smaller towns and not all your big city folks. Even in smaller towns, you can get your meals shipped to you by mail. They will be like freeze wrapped. All you had to do is put them in the fridge or the freezer. And then when you're ready to eat them, you take them out of the fridge or the freezer, you heat them up and you eat them. So now I understand that some of you are foodies and you are food Nazis. All right, we have the floor Nazi that I mentioned here, but now we got some of you are food Nazis. And you can't be a Nazi about all these things, by the way. All right, but if let's say you're a food Nazi, you actually love to prepare and cook food. This is just your thing. This is your love language is to prepare and cook food. Love to yourself is to prepare and cook food. You just absolutely have to do this, or you're the cook in the family and you like to make the meals for the family or the kids or your significant other or even for yourself. So if that's you, then this point won't apply to you. However, you use everything I said in point number 1 outside of preparing food. So if you're this person who absolutely has to be in control of making the food, then you should have no excuses about anything I said in point number 1. All right, everybody caught what I said there? If you have anything in point number 1, there's just that one thing that you have to do that's a task, then you can't also have this in point number 2. All right, so you got to pick one. All right, pick a struggle. All right, so if whatever your struggle is going to be, ideally, all of you have no problems with any of this. I have no problems with any of this. I mean, I'm the one who made these points, so it makes sense that I don't have a problem handing off any chore or task to other people that I personally don't need to be doing. I don't do chores. And number 2, I don't have a problem handing off the task of my food preparation. I deal with a food prep service down here in South Florida called Health Rush. They are only in South Florida. So if you are in South Florida, West Palm, Broward, or Miami-Dade counties, you can hit up Health Rush. You can find them on Instagram at My Health Rush, or just look up a company called Health Rush on online and just tell them that you heard about them through Dre Baldwin, and they know me there, so they will help hook you up and set you up with something good. So with all that said, if you're that person who absolutely has to do the food thing, then you can skip this point. But again, you can't skip anything I said in point number 1. All right. And ideally, you are taking in everything and applying everything I said in point number 1 and point number 2. Okay. The time that it takes you to look up recipes, to go grocery shopping, to prepare the food that needs to be cooked, to actually cook it, then to serve it, to eat it, and then you got to wash the dishes after that. All this takes a lot of time. What could you do with that time alternatively? This is just an open question. This is a question you should be asking yourself, because you probably could not answer it if you've never had this time available to you, because you're always using it doing other stuff. So I'm letting you know that this time can be available if you would delegate this task to someone other than yourself. But you have to have the mind to do it. Then the process of actually doing it is relatively easy. But the mindset to do it is the part that is challenging for most people. Moving on to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is where your time is getting wasted, i.e. used inefficiently, and what to do about it. Number 3, assistant level tasks. Now, everything that I've said so far can apply as an assistant level task, but I'm going to give you something else. What's an assistant level task? Is any task for which you could hire an assistant to do that you personally don't need to be doing. Keyword, need to be doing. I understand that you might want to do it. You might want to be the one who, what's something that some of you just want to do. You want to be the one who folds the clothes after they come out of the dryer. You might want to be the one who always takes the trash out. I guess you can call that a task. That's a task that I do. I do take the trash out, but it only takes me like literally 90 seconds to take the trash out. So maybe you're the person who wants to go grocery shopping and you like to actually walk through the aisles of the grocery store, which I rarely do anymore. I use the app to order groceries. I got some delivered from Whole Foods today, as a matter of fact. If I do go to a grocery store, I sometimes go to Trader Joe's because they have some things that Whole Foods does not have. But when I go in Trader Joe's, I know exactly what I'm going to get. I know exactly where I'm going. I will be in the store for literally 5 minutes and I'm out of there. But if you absolutely want to do some of these things, let's replace that word need with want. You want to do them. Let's be honest about it. If you absolutely want to do these things, let's take a look at a few of them. First of all, could you hire somebody to pick up and drop off your dry cleaning? Those of you who use dry cleaners on a regular basis. If you spend enough money at the dry cleaners, often they will come pick up the dry cleaning from your home and drop it back off to you if you spend a certain amount. There's a dry cleaner that I go to here in Miami. I use multiple dry cleaners, but one of them that I go to, they do have a pickup and delivery service. So they told me if you spend at least $25 on whatever it is you're dropping off, then we will come pick it up and bring it back to you. But if it's less than $25, then we won't pick it up. Could somebody else enter names and email addresses and phone numbers into your CRM? Could you hire somebody else to do that? Could somebody else handle at least some of the email that comes through your inbox? Could someone or something else manage your customer service inquiries? You could use AI software for that. You go to a lot of websites these days, those are chat bots. Those are not actual human beings that are chatting with you. Oh, you know about that. You call the bank and you got to talk to the automated system for 3 minutes before they'll put you through to a human being. Why? Because the automated system is filtering people through before they put the human beings on. It saves them money and it saves everybody time. Even though it may be annoying to have to talk to an automated system rather than talk to an actual human, it is more efficient for the company and it saves you money because they don't have to pay staff as much because they're using the AI. And in the big picture, it does save you money, even though it can be very annoying, especially when you have a pressing matter. I understand. So if you really think about it, how many tasks in your daily business life are tasks that only you could do because the skill level and complexity of the task just requires your presence? Probably not that many. If you really think about it, there might be, again, you could probably count these on one hand. And you hear me say this all the time. There may be 2 or 3 things. Let me ask the question again so you caught it. How many things are happening in your business on a daily basis that absolutely require you personally because of the complexity and the skill level required for the task? Usually 2 or 3 things at the most. Not 8, 2 or 3. Everything else you could pass off to someone or something else. And as AI evolves, is going to become more passing off to something rather than someone. And those some things might be like, AI human beings, but it's still a thing. And as we have this AI software, anything digital could possibly be passed off to an application, some kind of software, not really a human being, but it will feel like it's a human being. But if you need a human, but it's worth it to go find one of those too. Like right now, I just told you, I just put up a job posting somewhere where I'm going to be hiring an actual human. And a simple Google search and some looking around, which won't take you long, can uncover some things that can be passed off that you may not even be aware can be passed off to other people. I may do a whole episode in a series on things that could be passed off that many people aren't even aware that could be passed off, that will save a lot of you/us much time, or actually give us time, not really saving us time, but give us back time that we could use for more important, higher leverage, higher ROI activities. But with that said, let's recap today's class, which is where time gets wasted and how to fix it. And we talk about time a ton here at Work on Your Game, simply because time is literally life. You run out of time, the game's over. So let's talk about how you can save time. Number one, stop doing physical chores. These are things that you do in your office or around your home that you do not necessarily need to be doing yourself. Not that they don't need to be done, but you can pass them off to other people. Cutting the grass, folding the laundry, washing the dishes. Now, do you actually have to do these yourself? No, you don't have to do them yourself. You may choose to, but you don't have to. Number two, finding and preparing food. The reason I'm bringing up food here is because everybody eats every single day. Not everybody cleans their house the same way or the same consistency, but everybody does eat on a regular basis. So what are you doing to find and prepare your food? And could you pass that task off? Or we know you could pass the task off. Would you pass the task off to someone other than yourself when it comes to finding and preparing food? Now, again, if you happen to be the person who loves to do the food preparation in your home, fine. I'm okay with that. Understand that if you're that person, then everything I said in point number one, you're not allowed to push back on any of that. All right. If food is going to be your thing, that's your thing. Everything else, you got to be willing to delegate and pass off so that you can actually have more time in your life. This is especially for those of you who ever complain you don't have enough time to do the things that you want to do. It's because you're doing all these chores every day, like some kind of maid. All right, unless you happen to be a maid. And if you're a maid, I mean, this show is not really targeted towards you. I ain't mad at you for listening, but the show is really about people who are trying to move themselves forward ambitiously. And I'm not sure being a maid is one of those ways to do that. Right? No judgment. Number three, assistant level tasks. This is any task that you could hire an assistant to do that you personally do not need to be doing. All right, could you hire somebody to pick up and drop off your dry cleaning, to go to the grocery store for you, to maybe pick up the kids from school? Maybe you like to pick up the kids from school because it's the time you get to spend with the kid. Fine, I get it. To groom your dog, give your dog a bath. All right, could you hire somebody else to do that besides you doing it yourself? And I'm just giving these as examples, but you can look at your own life and see the things that you're doing on a regular basis that you could probably pass off to somebody else. You don't have to be doing them yourself. You know what they are better than I do. Just look at your own life. And again, moving forward, I may do a whole series. I'm going to take a note in a second. I may do a whole series in the future on what are some of these tasks so you can start passing them off and stop trying to do everything yourself, because there's no need for you to do that. And you can put more of your resources in building your business, which produces higher ROI. That'll produce more money. And with that money, you can pay the software or the people who will do these other tasks that you don't need to be doing. But all that said, text me, let me know the best insight you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894, or just your favorite point from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894. And go to WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. That's where you get coached by me. That's the only place you can get into my coaching programs, the only place you can get into my group programs, the only place you get access to all of our courses, and the only way you can get the 2 physical mailings we send out every month called the Bulletproof Bulletin and the Black Book, all at WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all